In February 2020, the quiet hills of Sullivan County, Tennessee, became the center of a chilling mystery. A 15-month-old baby girl, Evelyn Mae Boswell, vanished without a trace. Her bright eyes, chubby cheeks, and innocent smile captured hearts across the nation as law enforcement issued a statewide Amber Alert. But as the days turned into weeks, the case surrounding Evelyn's disappearance became clouded with confusion, contradictions, and outright lies. At the center of it all stood one person, her own mother, Megan Boswell. By the end of the investigation and a trial that gripped the region, Megan Boswell would be convicted of one of the most heart-wrenching crimes imaginable, the murder of her own daughter. And in August 2025, Judge Jim Goodwin would deliver a sentence ensuring that Megan will never walk free again. Life in prison plus 33 years. This is the story of Evelyn Mae Boswell, a story of innocence stolen, a betrayal at the hands of the person meant to protect her, and of a community's desperate search for justice. Evelyn Mae Boswell was born in late 2018. By all accounts, she was a joyful child, curious, playful, and full of the light that only a baby can bring. Family members describe her as sweet and affectionate, a little girl who loved to laugh. But Evelyn's life was not easy from the start. Her young mother, Megan Boswell, only 18 years old at the time of Evelyn's birth, was already living in a storm of instability. Reports later revealed strained family dynamics, financial struggles, and a pattern of lies that Megan wove around almost every aspect of her life. Evelyn's father, Ethan Perry, was serving in the U.S. Army and stationed in Louisiana. He was largely absent from the day-to-day care of his daughter, and custody disputes only deepened the uncertainty around Evelyn's upbringing. That left Evelyn almost entirely in Megan's care, a responsibility that, as the world would soon discover, Megan was neither prepared for nor willing to handle. In February 2020, concern for Evelyn's well-being began to grow when extended family members realized they hadn't seen her in weeks. The last confirmed sighting of Evelyn was reported around December 2019, but it wasn't until mid-February that authorities were officially notified she was missing. On February 18th, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, TBI, issued an Amber Alert for the toddler, sparking widespread media coverage. Billboards, news broadcasts, and social media campaigns all featured Evelyn's angelic face. Volunteers poured in to help search, holding out hope that the little girl would be found safe. But from the very beginning, something about Megan Boswell's story didn't add up. When investigators questioned Megan about Evelyn's whereabouts, her answers shifted constantly. One day, she claimed Evelyn was with her father. Another day, she said Evelyn had been taken by a babysitter. Then, Megan changed her story yet again, suggesting the child had been placed into the care of social services. Each version unraveled quickly under scrutiny. Authorities described Megan as evasive and deceptive. In fact, she was later charged with more than a dozen counts of making false reports during the investigation. These lies didn't just stall the search. They drained valuable resources, wasted countless hours of manpower, and most tragically, prolonged the uncertainty surrounding Evelyn's fate. As the Amber Alert stretched into days, the public grew suspicious of Megan. Why couldn't she give a straight answer? Why did her stories change so dramatically? And most hauntingly, where was baby Evelyn? After nearly 3 weeks of searching, the heartbreaking truth came to light. On March 6, 2020, authorities located human remains on a piece of property belonging to Evelyn's grandfather. The remains were found inside a shed, hidden in a playhouse, wrapped in clothing. The medical examiner confirmed the worst fears. It was Evelyn. The discovery devastated the community. Candlelight vigils were held, stuffed animals and flowers piled up at makeshift memorials, and people across the nation mourned for a child they never met. The case was no longer about finding a missing child. It was about justice for a baby whose life was brutally cut short. From the moment Evelyn's body was found, suspicion focused squarely on Megan. Investigators uncovered evidence of neglect, abuse, and deliberate cover-ups. Forensic analysis, witness testimony, and Megan's own web of lies painted a chilling picture. She had killed her daughter and gone to shocking lengths to conceal the crime. The charges began to mount. In addition to first-degree murder, Megan was indicted on child abuse, child neglect, tampering with evidence, abuse of a corpse, and multiple counts of making false police reports. The legal process was slow and complex, delayed by COVID-19 restrictions and the need for extensive forensic examination. But prosecutors were determined to present a case that showed not only Megan's guilt, but the cruelty and lack of hesitation with which she ended her daughter's life. In February 2025, nearly 5 years after Evelyn's death, Megan Boswell finally stood trial in Sullivan County. The courtroom was packed with spectators, journalists, and grieving family members. Prosecutors laid out a meticulous timeline of events, highlighting Megan's shifting stories, the condition in which Evelyn's remains were found, and the lack of remorse shown by the young mother. Witness after witness described Megan as manipulative, self-centered, and deceptive. They argued that she cared more about covering her tracks than about her child's well-being. The defense attempted to cast doubt, suggesting Megan's actions were rooted in immaturity, confusion, or denial. But the weight of the evidence was undeniable. On February 13, 2025, after a week-long trial, the jury returned its verdict: guilty of first-degree murder and every related charge. The courtroom fell silent. The community finally had answers, but no verdict could ever bring Evelyn back. At the sentencing hearing, Judge Jim Goodwin did not mince words. He emphasized the brutality of the crime and the complete lack of hesitation Megan showed in killing her daughter. There is no doubt that this defendant had absolutely no hesitation when she killed her daughter. Judge Goodwin said firmly. He sentenced Megan Boswell to life in prison, plus an additional 33 years on consecutive charges. That sentence means Megan will never be released. She will spend the rest of her life behind bars, reflecting on the betrayal that stunned a community and silenced a child's laughter forever. For many, it was a bittersweet form of justice. Evelyn's life had been cut tragically short, but the court ensured her memory would not be overshadowed by her mother's lies. Evelyn's case left scars on the Sullivan County community. Parents held their children a little tighter. Strangers who never knew Evelyn wept at her photographs, mourning not just for her, but for the innocence lost in the case. The tragedy also highlighted systemic failures, questions about child protection services, custody disputes, and how a vulnerable child could slip through the cracks until it was too late. But in the wake of sorrow came resolve. Advocates for child welfare pushed for stronger protections, and community members pledged to never forget Evelyn's short but meaningful life. At the heart of this entire case was a little girl who never had the chance to grow up. Evelyn Mae Boswell will never blow out birthday candles, never play with friends at school, never run into her father's arms. Her life ended before it truly began. And yet, in her memory, people continue to fight for justice for children everywhere. Her story serves as a painful reminder of the responsibilities of parenthood, the dangers of unchecked abuse, and the importance of vigilance when a child's safety is at stake. Evelyn's legacy is not one of tragedy alone, but also of awareness, advocacy, and a renewed commitment to protect the most vulnerable among us. The sentencing of Megan Boswell closed a dark chapter in Tennessee's history. A young mother who should have nurtured her child instead betrayed her in the most unimaginable way. Life in prison plus 33 years ensures Megan will never walk free. But for those who loved Evelyn, justice can never erase the pain of her loss. As candles flickered in vigils, as teddy bears sat beneath photographs of a smiling toddler, the words of Judge Goodwin echoed. Megan Boswell acted without hesitation. And for that, she will live out her days in a prison cell, while Evelyn's memory continues to shine far beyond the darkness of her mother's crime. Press the subscription button not to miss out on the upcoming true crime stories.